This is a raw Blender render. No post-processing, no compositor, nothing fancy. And this is the same render color graded directly inside Blender in real time. No nodes, no compositor, no external software. In this video, I'll show you how the Colorista add-on works, where it fits in a Blender workflow, and how to use it step by step. If you don't have Colorista installed yet, go to Edit, Preferences and click on Extensions. Search for Colorista, install and enable it. Once enabled, you'll find Colorista in the sidebar in the end panel. Colorista is a real-time color grading add-on for Blender. Instead of building compositor node trees, it gives you a single unified panel for exposure, contrast, color, and finishing effects. It's designed for fast look development and quick iteration, especially when you want immediate visual feedback. Colorista is meant to be used after lighting and materials are done. Think of it as the final look layer on top of your render. For complex masking or VFX work, the compositor is still much better, but for color grading, Colorista is way faster. Before you start color grading, you can find settings such as precision and switch device to GPU or CPU. Then click Enable Coloring to get started. The Colorista interface is divided into sections: correction, exposure, contrast, saturation, effects, curves, and color balance. I'll go through these in a simple workflow order instead of explaining every slider randomly. Optimize Image applies a smart global correction pass. It attempts to balance the image automatically and is often a good first step before manually grading. Auto White Balance analyzes the image and removes unwanted color casts. This is useful as a quick correction, but it's not always perfect, so treat it as a starting point. Color Temperature shifts the image between warm and cool tones based on how the human eye perceives light. Warmer values feel more natural or emotional, while cooler values feel cleaner or technical. Color Shift rotates the entire color palette across the spectrum. This is a creative control rather than a corrective one. Once the image is corrected and neutral, we can move into the exposure control. Brightness raises or lowers the image evenly across all values. It's a simple control for quick overall adjustment. Exposure behaves more like a camera exposure, affecting highlights more strongly than the shadows. This is useful when the image feels under or overexposed. With the exposure set, the next step is defining the light and shadow detail. Highlights control the brightest parts of the image. Lowering this can recover blown out detail, while increasing it adds punch. Bright areas affect lighter regions more gently than the highlights, giving you final control over the roll-off. Shadows lift or deepen darker areas of the image, helping reveal or hide detail. And dark areas specifically target the deepest blacks, helping avoid crushed shadows. Now we can shape, contrast, and depth. Contrast focus increases contrast while preserving detail and avoiding harsh clipping. This is usually safer than aggressive global contrast. Depth enhances perceived separation in the image, making it feel more three-dimensional and less flat. With contrast established, we can now control clarity and detail. At any point, you can hover your mouse over any setting to see what it actually does in detail. Texture enhances fine surface detail. This works well for materials like concrete, fabric, or rough surfaces, but should be used subtly. Clarity boosts mid-range contrast, increasing perceived sharpness without affecting exposure. Too much clarity can make the image look harsh. Natural sharpening enhances edges while trying to avoid halos and artifacts. This is generally preferred for realistic renders. Noise sharpening targets very fine detail but can amplify noise if overused. Reduced noise smooths out grain and render noise. This is especially useful for low sample renders or previews. At this stage, the image should feel clean, sharp, and balanced. Now we can focus on color and saturation. Multi-level saturation adjusts saturation differently across brightness ranges, helping prevent oversaturation. Natural saturation boosts color intensity while keeping the image visually balanced. Strong color increases saturation aggressively and is more stylized. Use this carefully. And global saturation affects all colors equally across the image. After these, Colorista also includes perceptual saturation controls based on real human eye vision. Human eye saturation adjusts color intensity based on how we naturally perceive brightness and contrast. Increasing it reduces saturation. Brightness here controls how saturation responds to different light levels. With colors set, we can move into glow and stylized effects. Range is basically the threshold. It defines which brightness values are affected by glow. Glow intensity controls how strong the bloom effect appears. This is same as adding a glare node in the compositor, but this add-on makes it much easier. Next, we have the starburst intensity, which is similar to the streaks setting on the glare node. Starburst intensity adds light streaks to highlights for a stylized look. Use this value subtly so that you don't overpower the image. Next, we have the spot intensity, which is similar to the ghost setting on the glare node. Spot intensity increases localized glow around the bright areas. If you think this was already a lot, Colorista also includes additional stylized effects. Special Effects series. The smudge and film grain settings basically combine chromatic aberration and film grain. This adds texture and help break the overly clean CG look in our renders. The mosaic or black and white effects are more experimental and are used for artistic styles. Use these at your own discretion. Lens distortion simulates real-world camera imperfections. To help focus attention, Colorista also includes vignette controls. Vignette darkens the edges of the image, drawing attention towards the center, but a positive value will give you a white vignette and a negative value will give you a darker vignette. Gradient vignette gives more control over how the vignette feeds. For more precise color control, we now move into advanced tools. Hue Correct allows targeted adjustments to hue, saturation and brightness for specific color ranges. This is useful for fine-tuning dominant colors without affecting the entire image. Next are RGB curves, which provide precise tonal control. Curves control tonal response. Film-like mode provides a softer, more cinematic roll-off than the standard. Black and white levels define the darkest and the brightest points in the image. The darkest points are usually black, but by changing the colors of these, you can define what color your shadows are. And similarly, by changing the white levels, you can control the color of the highlights. Color balance offers another layer of creative control. Lift, gamma and gain. Lift affects shadows, gamma affects midtones and gain affects highlights. Offset, power and slope. These controls allow advanced tonal shaping for precise grading. Temperature and tint provide another method of white balance correction. Color correction allows channel-specific adjustments with mid-tone range control. You can target red, green or the blue channels individually by selecting the checkbox, making this useful for fine-grained adjustments. That's a complete walkthrough of every section in the Colorista add-on. Here's the full before and after. Everything you're seeing was color graded directly inside Blender using Colorista. If you found this useful, leave a comment with what you're working on or which tool you want explained in the next one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next Blender breakdown.